Before we jump into today's episode, I have something really exciting to share with you. My brand new mini course, Finally Free, is officially here. Over the last 6 years, I've helped hundreds of women transform their body, mindset, confidence, and relationship with food inside Naturally Well. And while teaching all these philosophies, there's one thing that I've learned. This work isn't just about creating a healthier body. So many clients have said this. They're like, Hayley, this is so much more than just dropping weight. It's about changing the way you live, the way you think, the way you speak to yourself, the way you show up in your relationships, the way you parent, the way you build your career, the way you create your future. That's exactly what Finally Free is all about. Inside, I'll teach you my higher self blueprint, the Dream Life Script process, my food freedom philosophies, and the exact identity framework that's helped me and so many other women stop starting over and finally create lasting change. Because once you learn these principles, you literally cannot unlearn them. You'll start applying them to every area of your life. If you're ready to stop waiting for one day and start becoming the woman you know you're capable of being, head to the show notes and join me inside Finally Free. It's 7 modules over 90 minutes. You'll get it done within an hour and a half. Whether you do it in one sitting or you do it over a few mornings, you will have this inside your mind for life. I cannot wait to welcome you inside. In today's episode, I'm joined by Australian business mentor, speaker, and entrepreneur Brooke Vulinovich. Brooke has spent nearly a decade building and scaling successful online businesses, including one of the world's largest Instagram education communities, which supported almost 4,000 business owners across 37 countries. But behind the growth, the revenue, and the success on paper, Brooke began to realize the one thing she could not buy was more time with her family. In 2025, Brooke and her husband sold everything they owned in Australia and moved their young family from Perth to a small village on the Croatian coast. That move completely redefined what success meant to her. In this conversation, we talk about balancing motherhood and business, building a company that creates freedom rather than overwhelm, setting boundaries around your time, and letting go of the belief that success has to look like a big house, a busy schedule, and constant growth. Brooke also shares the realities of running a business online, what authenticity really looks like on social media, how she decides what to share, and why simplifying her life has helped her feel more successful than ever before. This is such an honest and inspiring conversation about family, freedom, identity, and having the courage to create a life that may look completely different from the one you originally planned. Let's jump into my conversation with Brooke Vulinovich. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I want to thank you for being so patient already because like we were just saying, if there's a tech issue, it will always happen when you need it the most.
Mm.
And while you are sweating, literally because you can't put your air conditioner on, can you tell us where you are in the world right now?
Croatia, and it is peak European summer, and it is hot. And I'm on level 4 of a house. So this is where I get the best internet. You know, the show must go on, and that's showbiz, is it not? We work under all conditions.
It's hot.
Okay, this is where you're going to, especially from Australia, you're going to find this interesting. It's only like 30 degrees on paper. But as someone who's born and bred in Perth, like I can do 40, I can do 45. 30 degrees here is 50% humidity. So it's like 40, even though it's only 30, which as a Perth girl, like I'm still wearing a jumper at 30 in Perth.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. I can relate to that because I'm the Sunshine Coast, but I came from Victoria, and Victorian heat is dry and it's a different degree. So in Queensland, 30 degrees is, it's like a Victorian 40.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, again, I love it. I love it. I'd still rather this than cold, although I do love a European winter, but I've had to get used to that again as a Perth girl. Like freezing and snow is not really part of my bloodline. So that's right. We're adjusting.
But we'll get into your story really soon about why you're living where you're living and how that all came about. Because I just think you have such an You have such an interesting story and like a bit of a dream life the way you're living right now.
Aw.
But before we get into that, I've got 3 rapid fire questions that I ask every guest. And I
Okay.
just realized I sometimes let people know about it beforehand. I just realized because of all the tech stuff, I didn't ask you. So we're just going to jump straight into it, the rapid fire
Easy.
questions. But I know that you like to just get thrown into it anyway. So the first one is, if you could swap lives with anyone in the whole world for a day, who would it be and why?
I feel like business-wise, I should swap lives with Adam Mazzeri and learn all the ins and outs of Instagram that I don't fully know or understand, or perhaps want to add some new special features that would benefit me. And then personal-wise, I'd love to swap lives with like Margot Robbie when she's on set, because I always wanted to be an actor, and I'd actually like to be in that world and see how it all operates. And she's hot, so why not?
You actually do have a bit of a Margot Robbie like vibe to you now that you've said that. As soon as you said that, I was like, of course that's your answer.
Stop. I'll take that. I'll go from Wall Street, Margot Robbie. That's the one.
Yeah, they're really good answers. I love that. Thank you.
Thank you.
What's the first thing you do in the morning to start your day on a positive note?
Don't look at my phone. So I have my alarm on my phone, and I do my workout on my phone, and I have my music on my phone, but I don't go on social media or check my messages or anything like that. The first hour of the day is for me and my brain and my body and my soul before I become reactive to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I love that. Do you put your phone on airplane mode to not like have the habit of clicking on it, or you've trained your brain to not click on it in the morning?
Well, I don't have any notifications on, and my phone's on Do Not Disturb. So it's not on airplane mode. Things can still come through, but I choose when to look at them.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a fan of the do not disturb.
Hmm.
That's a good question. That's a good answer. And number 3, if you could choose one superpower to help you in business or life, who would it be and why? What would it be, sorry, and why?
Ooh. One superpower to help me in business and life, what would it be and why? I mean, my first thought is to say more hours in the day, but then I just fill them with more work, and I don't want to do that. More hours with my son as a child, because I've read so many interviews and listened to so many podcasts of elderly people, and I've heard this answer from a lot of them. And it's that they think anyone who still has young children to cherish that. Because I mean, I know for myself, my little boy's 5 now, and I feel like he was born yesterday. So I suppose if I could have a superpower to slow down time to get more of what I currently have in terms of that, that would be cool.
Yeah, I really love that. I think so many mothers listening to that could relate. Because I think, yeah,
Yeah.
before you know it, like the other day I was just staring at my daughter and I was like, how are you 8? Like, how are you 8?
How? How?
Mm,
How? And look, I mean, I'm sure we'll get into this, but a lot of our lifestyle change of moving from Australia to Croatia and everything that we did was to slow down time, and was to have more time together as a family and with our son. So we have done what we can that's in our control to do that. But is it ever enough?
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I love that. That's a very relatable answer. Thank you. And on that topic of why you moved and what you're doing, can you give us, like, for someone who's never heard of you before or knows anything about you, can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and the little bit of the lead up to how that's happened, like where you live and what you offer this world?
That's crazy. So I currently live in Croatia. I have moved here with my husband and our son from Australia. We officially moved last year, as in sold our house in Australia, sold all of our stuff, became Croatian citizens last year. But we've been 1 foot in Australia, 1 foot in Croatia since 2022. So my husband had an air conditioning company in Australia. He's actually Kiwi, but his family's from Croatia. They migrated to New Zealand. My dad was born in Croatia. He migrated to Australia, and my husband and I met in Australia. So he had an air conditioning company. I had an Instagram education company that was mainly online, where I taught business owners how to grow and sell using Instagram. And then we had a little boy, Carlo, in 2021. And a year before Carlo was born, yes, a year before Carlo was born, we decided, as most young families do, that we would like to get a house together because we were currently living in a one-bedroom apartment that I owned. And so we decided to buy some land and build. Now, that was meant to take 10 months, and we sort of had our, I guess, dream for what our life was going to look like in Australia. And Dom was working FIFO. So he had his own company, but he was taking all regional contracts, which means he would fly up north and be away for a couple of weeks at a time and then come home for a few days, go back up north. And all of my work basically was online. So we had my son, we were building the house, the build time started to blow out, and basically, I mean, for any mother listening would understand, how much life changes before you have a baby to after you have a baby. And I guess as Carlo got older and older, I started to realize how much help that I actually would need with him. So Dom being away, that just wasn't going to work for me long term. And it just didn't feel like success to me long term. Like him missing so much of Carlo's life just didn't feel right if I was to be successful in life, which I thought meant more money, big house, nice cars. I thought that's what success was. So Dom started to get local work and basically look after Carlo more so that I could work more. The house that we were building still wasn't ready, and we were bursting out of the apartment. And by this stage, we had moved to rent a 2-bedroom apartment. And it just basically got to the point where for us to then move into something bigger, the rent that we were paying, plus we were paying the mortgage on the land, plus we were paying the mortgage on the build, it was thousands of dollars a week. And I just thought, surely we could live somewhere else in the world for less than that right now when Carlo's not at school, my business is online. Dom would have to shut down his company in order to do that. But, we figured out finance wise in terms of what we were both earning and paying the government as well in Australia, it would be better if I just did my business and Dom looked after Carlo full time rather than putting him in childcare. So we're already paying thousands of dollars a week, in living and rent and mortgage, plus then childcare on top of that for us both just to be working to pay bills. So we thought, okay, maybe we'll go to Bali. And then we thought, well, actually, Dom's dad was building a house here in Croatia, in the village and on the land that his dad was born in. So we said to Dom's dad, could we go stay over there / here while we wait for our house to be built? And if we help finish the build of the house, can we stay in the house while we wait? Thinking it would only be a couple of months. And his dad said yes. So we came over here, and this was in 2022. And we were here for 3 months because that's what our visa will allow as Australians. Neither of us were citizens then. And then the 3 months passed and our house in Australia still wasn't ready. So that's when we went to Bali and we stayed our visa there and then extended the visa there. House still wasn't ready. We went to New Zealand. We stayed with Dom's family in New Zealand. House still wasn't ready. Went back to Bali. Came back here. House still wasn't ready. And this just went on for a couple of years to the point that by the time our house was ready, which was 5 years later, Carlo was happily in kindy here in Croatia. We had lives here in Croatia, and my business was operating and doing really well, even though we were living here in Croatia. And we went back to Australia and moved into the house, and we were both just like, actually, I don't think we want this life anymore. The life that we thought we wanted. Our priorities have changed, and we've seen another way and we've experienced another way, and we preferred that way. So that was last year, sold everything and moved here permanently.
So what does Dom do now?
So we've actually purchased land here and he will be building our new house here.
My
Yeah.
goodness. That's,
Yeah. So
yeah.
he's been finishing this house that we live in, which is now finished. Or there's like a few little things that still need to be done. But his dad's a builder. And even though his company was air conditioning, he's like a master of all trades, can do anything. So he can build a house, no problem.
Did you
So
ever
yeah.
think you would be doing that like a few
No,
years ago?
no
Yeah.
way. You crazy girl. I am Perth born and bred. Never thought I'd leave. Never wanted to leave. Never had any interest in leaving until, what's that saying? Life's what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Yeah. Mhm.
That's what happened.
Yeah, I don't know. It was almost like
Crazy, hey?
meant to be, wasn't it? Like your house in Perth was supposed to be extended out for the 5 years instead of like doing it really quick. And yeah, you could have
Mm.
had a really different life, or like you could have settled for that life as well. And who knows, like you
Mm,
could have been happy. Also, look at your life now. Like that was just the craziest thing that
totally.
you would have never planned otherwise. Like that just kind of got planned for you.
Exactly. And look, don't get me wrong. I thought I was happy then. I thought I wanted all of that. And what I've swapped that for, like it's funny here, we live in a little village with 900 people on the Croatian coast. Like my view is of our island from Dom's dad's house that we live in now. And we just think it is the most magical place on the planet. Carlo's in half day kindy, which is free, which I also think just blows my mind. He's now fluent in Croatian. He knows all the little kids in town. Every afternoon, he does his swimming lessons, and we grow our own veggies. We have our own chicken, so we get fresh eggs every day. And, we're 2 hours to fly literally anywhere in Europe, or we can just get in the car and drive. And we just think this version of life now, like this is success to me now, even though on paper, it's so different to what our life would have looked like in Australia. This is, to me, the peak of success. I don't know how much better it gets from here, to me.
Yeah. You literally just answered my question. My next question was how did that reshape, because you're talking about success. How does your life now, like how did that reshape what success looks like for you? Because you were saying that that's what you wanted.
Yeah, I think previously growing up, as I guess a lot of us do, and I guess maybe it's changing now, but the Australian dream was always you go to school, you go to uni, you get a job, you work hard, you buy a house, you have your castle. Remember the movie The Castle?
Yeah.
And I thought that's what I wanted, but I didn't really particularly like school that much. I wasn't, particularly academic. I dropped out of uni because I was bored. I dropped out of TAFE. I always worked really hard. From as soon as I could first work, I always had multiple jobs. I literally filled every hour of the day that I wasn't at school with work. And I thought, the more I work, the more money I earn, the more I can buy. And I can buy success and I can buy the big house in the beachside fancy suburb and I can buy my Mercedes that I had. And I did all of that. And it just felt like something was missing. And then I had my son, and I realized what I couldn't buy was more time with my son. And that is, I guess, where the conversation started to shift and the priority started to shift of how can we have more time together as a family? And how can I spend more time with my son? And it just didn't feel like in Australia that was going to be an option for us. And over here, we can, like quote unquote, have it all. So we can have a nice car, we can have time together, we can have a nice house, and we can have balance in our lives because we've gone from thousands of dollars a week in living costs to literally hundreds. And it's a huge lifestyle change. We've also gone from living in, I think Perth used to be considered kind of the country town of Australia, but it's not so much anymore. It's a city and it's busy. And we've gone from that city hustle life to a very slow living, literally village life. So I don't think without the lifestyle change, the version of success would have changed as much. It was almost like an immersive experience, you know?
It almost gives me goosebumps at just how, like, life works like that. Like, I can even relate to
Mm,
that in a way. Like, I even moving into state, like, I lived a very different life in Victoria to what I do now. Like, it just changed my perspective. Lifestyle was a big thing, but it really changed my
mm,
perspective of how I wanted to live, and I realized how much, like, I was running off stress and tied to my to-do lists and the routines and the go, go, go all the time, and it wasn't till moving here, it's like, hang on, like, life isn't about that. Like, life and it's same with you, like,
absolutely.
I can relate to so much of your story, what you were saying with what success looked like and what, yeah, you're
Mm.
chasing all the time. And yeah, even just now, like, I was joking even yesterday, I'm like, I think I'm having a midlife crisis because I'm like, I just want to simplify my life. I'm like,
Totally. Absolutely. It's the simplifying. And I think for us, because we essentially lived out of a suitcase for 3 years, 3.5 years, almost 4 years, with that, you naturally have to simplify because A, you don't want to be lugging around all kinds of luggage, and B, you don't want to be paying the additional charges for lugging around all kinds of luggage. So our life accidentally simplified, and then I became addicted to the idea of minimalizing and just becoming a better human. I feel like I'm a better human in the village than I was in the city. In the city, I have nothing against Australia. I'm not like hating on Australia. I love Australia. I always love Perth. And I think that I had a great childhood, but I just don't feel like we can give that to Carlo the same way anymore. The safety here of that community village living. And again, the being able to minimalize because we can't just pop to a major Westfields in 5 minutes and buy the latest season of everything. We live an hour and a half from a shopping center, like a big shopping center. So when we go to Split's the closest city near us, we really have to think about the things that we want to buy. And then we go to a split day and we go and buy all of those things that we need. But I feel like I get a lot more use out of things now when, I have like 3 t-shirts and I used to have like 2 wardrobes, 3 wardrobes. And you realize you just don't need it. And I just don't care for it. And I don't know if it's because I don't know if you have to have it all first to realize that and then almost go backwards. I'm not sure. But I just don't care anymore.
isn't that the best? I don't know if
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, the more you
it
age, the
is.
more you realize that. But the minimalism and the simplicity of life, like, I can relate to that so much. Like, even lately, I'm like, I wouldn't even care if, like, I lost everything at the moment. It's like I could just get away with, like, being really simple and just, yeah, like you said, you've got a couple of t-shirts, you've got a couple of outfits, and you're really conscious of what you're spending your money on and what you're bringing into the house. Like, I think that's, like, true success.
Yeah, and it definitely, I think, comes with age and maturity as well. Like, I just turned 40, which is a number I'm really not sure I'm relating to. But I guess I'm at, like, an age where I should know these things by now. Like, if I compare myself to my parents when they were 40, my mum had 4 children. They were in their forever home. My dad had built a successful business. They'd done it all. But I feel like I'm just getting started. I don't know what I was doing for the last 40 years, but yeah, I feel like I'm starting. Well, I am. I'm starting again on the other side of the world.
Exactly. That is so good. And let's talk about the freedom of, I mean, you were obviously already doing your business in Australia. Like, what was the transition like there? Like, was there obviously time difference, but how did your business allow you to do what you're doing now as well? Like, obviously Dom had to change his career, but, like, you obviously had that freedom with an online business.
Yeah. So my business in Australia, my company, Social Club, it was quite a large company. And, we were doing very, very high revenue months, which allowed me to have a big team. We had thousands of customers all over the world. So I think the lead up to leaving, because we already had customers in like 37 countries. The business almost already operated 24 hours a day because by the time, we woke up in the morning, it'd be a full day somewhere else. And those customers had questions and inquiries. And the team, not that the team worked 24/7, but there was always someone available. So moving here wasn't so much of an adjustment in terms of time. But what I did come to realize was I had grown the company to a point where I was as removed as I possibly could be. Like the team ran the company and it still wasn't enough for me. I still felt like I wanted more flexibility over my time. And I also missed people. And I think that came down to moving again from a city to a village. And when we were in the city, I was a very social butterfly and I was always out at networking events and doing events for my community. And I didn't have that here. And I really wanted to, I think, looking back now, work a lot more closely with people because I missed that closeness that you just don't have when you have thousands of clients. And so at the end of not last year, the year before, actually, originally I'd made the decision to shut the company down because I thought about selling it and I had some conversations about selling it and it just never looked right. And I just didn't like the idea of it. And so I thought, right, I'm just going to shut it all down and start again. But when I say I just thought that was like a 2-year process of back and forward and feeling a lot of guilt, mainly guilt over my team that I would have to let them go. And this was their livelihood. This was their life. Like at its peak, I think we had a team of 10, mix of staff and contractors. And I felt like, they've given me their all to build up this business for me. And now I'm shutting it down for them. So anyway, the way that it ended up unfolding over a couple of years was I found, and on the other side as well, so my team was on one side, and then I also felt like I was letting down my customers because people were still telling me every day, like how much the business was helping them and they didn't know where they'd be without it. And, it was helping them grow their business, which was supporting their families. And I just felt this enormous pressure of, I don't want to shut this down because what if that ends up impacting them and then their business shuts down? And I went back and forward with it for years, really, really feeling like it was quite a heavy decision for me. Anyway, long story short, I found a company in the US that offered something very similar. And I basically pitched them to take over my clients and take my clients into their online Instagram education business. And then I dissolved the brand. And it just so happened along that process that team members left for a variety of reasons. And it was like the universe was like, okay, this is how you can do it and not feel like a shit human. So it actually all kind of worked out. And then when I announced on Instagram, actually, that it had been acquired, I put in the announcement that, I didn't really know what my plan was, but I was going to open up some consulting. And if anyone wanted to learn how to grow a business or felt like what I knew about my business could help them grow their business, I would open some consulting spots. And they felt like that. And I kept getting inquiries through. And I was basically able to reinvent my life from the demand from individuals. And now after the last 2 years, what's really happening is it's women who they have built up these companies in Australia and they want to move and they want to move overseas or they want to move to a different location and they need help stabilizing revenue and implementing systems so the business runs more without them and they can make these big decisions to move. And that's really bar one, all my mentoring clients, that's what I'm helping them with now. And it's so good for me because I'm getting to work with these business owners one-on-one and I'm getting that connection that I think I was really, really missing with social club community again, because it was so big and it's really helping them and they're getting really good results and they're seeing, how this could be possible for them. And because I now also have the insight of what it does really take to move your family overseas, I can help them with that end as well. So I'm in a really lovely little spot at the moment with how my business works and operates and my work hours. I only work when my son's at kindy, and my clients know that. I've got super strict boundaries, but it's true what they say. Like, when you set your boundaries, the right clients will respect that and they know my availability. And yeah, it's all worked out, which I really wasn't sure how it would, but it did.
Talking about that with a client today, actually, about the more you set your own boundaries in your life, people actually respect you more because they're like, you know
Absolutely.
who you are, you know what you're doing. You're like, when you're working,
Absolutely.
when you're not, like, this is your priorities. I just love your story so much. When you were talking about, now people are actually, wanting support in something that you've just done. Because I always say, like, you only never need to be 10% ahead of someone to teach it, right? But, like, it's so interesting that now people are reaching out to you for something that you just did in a very authentic way. And I feel like you've done that in the online space so well. Like, you've always shown up ever since I've known you, because I've been following you for, oh gosh, years. I don't even know how I actually started following you, to be honest. But then we met in person on the Gold Coast. How long
hmm
ago now? A couple of years?
Yeah, a
You were
couple
running
of
a
years,
workshop.
maybe 3 years, because I still had social club then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
maybe
just
three
about to
years ago.
change. Mm.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting you and thinking, you are that person that is online, like who you see online. And I think, I feel like you are someone that's very authentic off the camera and on the camera, because you even share your life on YouTube now, which is really cool.
hmm
Do you think that has contributed to your success in what you do online, being
Have
yourself?
to, right? Yeah. I think, look, I've been in plenty of situations where I have met people in real life that I have followed online and been obsessed with, and then met this completely different version of the person. And then you're like, wait, what? And it's happened with business owners. It's happened with like celebrities that I have, well, to me, our celebrities, people that I've admired. And you just instantly lose respect and I guess ultimately trust for them. Whereas I am who I am, and I know I'm a lot for some people, and I'm quite loud and full of energy. And I can't calm that down, even if I tried.
You would not want to try. But they say, well, authenticity is like the highest frequency when you're talking about energetics. Like, authenticity is like the best thing that you could ever do. And that's how you like become a magnet for everything, right? Like, when you just show up as yourself. And I feel like that's, yeah. Because when you like, was it you that was saying on your YouTube that you're like, you used to say, good morning. And then
What?
yeah. And then you stopped doing it.
That
And
was
then
nice.
people wanted you to keep doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? And it's the things that you don't even realize or notice, or that's what I do with my friends. One of my best friends used to always actually, one of my best friends that I met through my job before I started my business would come into the business and say that. And it just became the thing that we did. So when I started my business, I didn't really have that, like, I guess, I don't know, corporate attitude to teaching marketing. So I just brought myself in, and yeah, it stuck.
Because what is your views on, because I've had so many different views, as in for women listening that have got an online business, right? I used to think that I had to share so much of my life, and I've got different aspects, but I do share. Like, I've got a YouTube is very similar to you, like a YouTube, like that's the space to share. But now I just share so much less on Instagram now, like of my actual personal life, even though I'm still showing up authentically, but it's just very, very curated what I share. What would you say to people who think that, like, is that a perception that you have to share more of yourself? You know, that whole know, like, and trust thing?
I think where people get confused is you're showing up on Instagram for your business as a marketing platform to share a message, and the message is a solution to a problem. So, what I like to do is my weekday content is always about my customer, unless I'm launching something. My weekday content's always about my customer. It's about their problems, it's about how I can help them, it's about their desires and their dreams and what they're looking for. And then my weekend content, which is when I'm not a business mentor on the weekend, I'm a mum, I'm a wife, I'm a friend. So my weekend content, I then use as who I am outside of the business owner, because I think for so many of my clients, they do have this entire life outside of being a business owner. And I want them to know and see and understand that A, you don't have to share your entire life to grow a successful business online. But also, if you want to share snippets, it's okay to do that too. And for me, having the YouTube channel has allowed me to show my entire life outside of the business owner, where now if people want to know more of that and see more of that, well, they can watch the YouTube episodes.
Yeah, because you've actually segregated it and put it a place where people can go see that. Yeah, I feel like I've done a very similar thing.
Hmm.
Yeah, this has been really, really helpful. I feel like we could keep talking. You do have I know you've got a meeting coming up very
I
soon
have a
because of our tech
client.
issues at the start.
Yes.
We'll have to get you back on. But what are you working on at the moment? What's in the work in your world?
So this is so exciting. And honestly, I'm jumping out of my skin about it. So 10 years ago, well, actually, no, it's probably like 12 years ago now when I had first started my business. I went to a networking event in Perth because I wanted to get to know some other people. And I met the girl who was running the networking events, Ash. And she was the first person to really give me a chance, I think, in business. And she asked me to teach an Instagram workshop for her community, which is when I started teaching Instagram workshops and literally like where my entire business journey in terms of social media education began. And then we came together and she wanted to run an event for International Women's Day and asked if I would do it because there was nothing like this at the time, 10 years ago in Perth. And so I had event experience and I was like, yeah, of course, I'd love to. And over the years, we have grown that event into one of Australia's biggest International Women's Day events. We have huge sponsors. We have business owners fly from all over the world to attend. It's at Crown Ballroom. Like, it's very la-di-da, very big. And for a while, we have had an idea about creating something else. So creating something for the businesswoman who has built the successful business, who has children, who is now thinking about the future and the legacy, and they are the breadwinner for the family. And these are the thoughts and decisions that do come back on them. And there just hasn't been the right time. And what we started to notice was these conversations happening more and more and more, that people are now like starting to talk about kind of retirement and legacy and what does the future look like, and what can I do now to put those wheels in motion? So we came together and we thought, well, maybe we could create something. Like, how cool would it be if we brought all these women together in a room and we all shared what we were doing to create this legacy for our families? And we haven't officially announced it yet, but what I can tell you is that it will be in Bali. And what I can tell you is that it will be in November. And what I can tell you is this: if you'd like to know more, I think we'll be announcing it right ish when this episode comes out. So if we haven't announced it yet, there's a wait list that you can join to hear about it.
That's so exciting. I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check that
Thank
out.
you.
It may have already launched, it may not.
It
But yeah,
may, it may not.
congratulations on that. I love that. Anytime you're putting women in a room and talking about those like really important topics, there's just it's so powerful, isn't it? So
Yeah.
powerful.
And look, International Women's Day, the event was designed to celebrate women growing their businesses and hear the stories behind the growth of their businesses. But now there's women at that next level. We've been running that event now for the last 10 years. So women have grown successful businesses. They don't necessarily need help scaling their business anymore, but it's everything else now that we want to optimize. And we want to look at how can we expand our capacity to see more than just what's right in front of us. And I agree. I think when you bring everyone together, everyone's got different backgrounds and different perspectives, and we can build something really, really beautiful for women in that next phase of life, like we are. So it'll be exciting.
Exciting. Well, congratulations.
Mhm.
And how, if people are not yet in your world of what you offer, how can we learn more? Obviously on your Instagram, because you're the Instagram queen.
Can learn. Yes, so I have an Instagram for, I guess, my personal brand, which is Brooke Vulinovich. And then I have an Instagram for the YouTube channel, which is Brooke Aboard YouTube. And then if you want to follow along on YouTube, the YouTube channel is called Brooke Abroad as well.
Thank you so much. Like I said, we're going to have to get you back on, but thank you so much for sharing all your like beautiful story. I think just even hearing, like we were just saying before about being, women coming together, just even hearing other women's stories is so inspiring, just from like how you moved and then what, the perspective that you changed around what success looks like and the life that you're living now, and all, made possible through your business being online. Like, it's just so inspiring. And thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me. It's funny when you're in it and you're doing the day to day, and especially when you're so removed from the business community, which I am now over here, you don't think you're doing anything special. You just, this is just normal life, right? So I appreciate you saying that. And I appreciate anyone who's listened or thinks they might want a life a little bit differently and wants to know how to do it. And I hope I can inspire them that if they're feeling like, could it be possible for me? Like, yeah, it can. It can be possible.
Exactly. And that's true. And like, you didn't even think that that's what your life was going to look like. And then it
No
did, all
way.
from those decisions. And like, yeah, I'm the same. Like, if you told me 5 years ago I'd be living now, like how I'm living, I'm like, what? Like, what? This is my
Hmm.
life back here. Like, I would never even imagine it. So yeah, it is like anything is possible when you put your mind to it, or not even when you put your mind to it, when you just trust and surrender to the
And you
outcome and
try.
just, yeah. And you try something new. If nothing changes, nothing
Totally.
changes. So.
Totally. I love that saying. Thanks, Hayley. Bye.